You think your bad habit is the problem, but it's actually the clue, a coded message from the deepest part of you that Carl Jung would urge you to read rather than resist. Because what you keep doing, doom scrolling when you're bored, staying up late for one more episode, snapping at someone you love, serves a hidden purpose your conscious mind hasn't owned yet. And until you see that purpose, willpower feels like tugging at branches while roots remain. Jung called those disowned parts the shadow: anger, fear, shame, desire, and when you push them away, they don't vanish, they leak out through habits. So the habit is the mask, and the shadow is the face beneath it, which is why quitting smoking can morph into drinking or gambling into gaming. The pattern persists when the wound beneath is untouched. Instead of attacking the habit, watch it. Notice the first tug, what came just before, the comment that stung, the comparison that cut, the old memory that surfaced, because the unconscious speaks in symbols, and a habit is a living symbol saying, something in me needs attention. And once you translate that, you can meet the need honestly, comfort yourself without numbing, face the fear instead of postponing, sit with the feeling rather than fleeing. Yes, this is harder than white-knuckling because it asks you to reach out when you're lonely, speak when you're angry, act while imperfect when you're afraid. But then the habit loosens because it's no longer carrying what you refuse to carry. Consider the man who overworked to dodge the silence of a failing marriage. Ambition was the cover, avoidance the truth, and when he faced the wound, the compulsion to drown in work faded. Jung's aim wasn't robotic discipline but wholeness, where even the shadow has a voice. So the habits you hate become invitations to honest relationship with yourself, and with that honesty, escape routes become unnecessary. Ask of the habit you want to break, what is this giving me? What is it protecting me from? What feeling would I face if it vanished today? Write it down, however uncomfortable, because that's where change begins. And as you swap shame for curiosity, the habit's power wanes. Be careful with labels. I'm lazy, I'm an overthinker, because the unconscious listens and the ego craves stability, even toxic stability. So we reenact scripts that confirm who I am, with habits, playing their roles too perfectly. The first move isn't discipline but disruption. One small act that doesn't fit the old role. Speak once in the meeting. Make the avoided call, shaking the identity enough that the ego must rewrite the script. See your habit not as an enemy, but a negotiator. I'll give you comfort if you sacrifice growth, and you win by offering a better deal. Comfort that doesn't cost your future, excitement that builds rather than breaks, rest that restores instead of numbs, while admitting the hardest truth. Sometimes we cling to the habit because it shields us from a bigger fear, but waiting has a cost. Letting roots thicken until the habit shapes relationships, career, health, and what we refuse to face returns louder. Courage means being seen without the armor, without the sarcasm that hides pain, the busyness that avoids self, the perfectionism that masks mess. And though losing the habit can feel like losing yourself, the paradox is you meet your real self at last. Change unfolds in seasons, not seconds. You will slip, and that's human, but notice sooner, understand deeper, and return faster. Return a victory until the pool grows quiet, and the habit becomes a teacher you've graduated from, giving you compassion for others' patterns too, which is part of individuation. As you grow, you may outgrow circles organized around the old habit, drinking buddies, gossip loops, and the test is choosing growth over belonging, turning loneliness into solitude, and discovering the quiet is full of answers, creativity, and energy reclaimed from distractions. Trace any habit to its root and you'll find a gift: a procrastinator's sense of timing, the overthinker's pattern recognition, the people pleaser's empathy. So take the gift and leave the cage, keeping the skill while dropping the self-sabotage. You'll know you've truly changed when the same trigger appears and you feel no tug, not from force but from outgrowing the need. And in that clean silence, resist the urge to reflexively fill the space built from intention, not by small rituals that keep you connected to the self that doesn't need the old fix. A walk without your phone. A nightly what am I proud of? A weekly is this choice building me or breaking me? Real freedom isn't suppressing urges, but not needing the suppression, standing amid old cues with clarity, wanting to choose differently, because as Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. And integration, not destruction, is how you take back authorship. Without the habit's shadow, life gets lighter, still imperfect. Finally, stop rushing to escape and start inhabiting moments. Channeling energy once spent hiding into creation and connection, and you realize the habit wasn't stealing your life, you were handing it over, and now you've reclaimed it. So before you act, ask, what version of me will this choice create? Because every habit is a choice repeated until it becomes identity. And when you answer Jung's question, what in me benefits from keeping this alive, and act on the truth you find, change stops being a fight and becomes a release. The habit was never the enemy but the door, and once you recognize the script, the actor loses its power. The message heard, the author met, you integrate the lesson, keep the gifts, and write the story on purpose.